welcome to Comic Book Day. I'm Joe, and I'm here to show off all the comics that I bought this week. I'm going to start with Marvel 2-in-1 number 6. So far, I'm really loving this series. I like seeing this storyline has been great the past 3 issues, I think, now. The Thing and the Human Torch have been teaming up with, a different universes. Reed Richards and Dr. Doom is there kind of following him around, helping him too. And in this one, trying to fight the other universe's Dr. Doom, who has become Galactus. Ben becomes gigantic and fights him out in space. And then they have to feed him a ton of power from the other universe's Human Torch, who has absorbed the Silver Surfer's powers. So there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on, and it's really kind of classic Fantastic Four stuff. I don't know how long this series is going to keep going on, so I'm really interested to see, what happens. Plus, I'm excited because at the end of this, I saw that in 2 weeks, there's going to be an annual coming out for this, so I'm really excited to see that. It's going to focus just on the Thing and Dr. Doom teaming up. This is Spider-Gwen number 32. This issue is focusing on the fallout of Gwen Stacy revealing herself to J. Jonah Jameson to be Spider-Woman. And mostly it's about, a big part of it is about her and her bandmates, the Mary Janes, kind of coming together, and she just kind of needs their support after, this big, huge thing. But also she goes after Matt Murdock, who is the kingpin of crime. The Hand has turned on him, so he's got a big fight with all these Hand ninjas. And then she kind of comes to, be like, hey, I'm done with you. I'm no longer afraid of you, and I'm going to, take control of my own thing now. And then this issue ends with Gwen turning herself into the police, so it'll be really interesting to see where that goes. I don't know if they're going to just release her. I don't know if it'll be, a whole new start for her, because they'll decide that Peter Parker, really wasn't just some innocent bystander when he was killed. He was, in fact, the Lizard. That's the whole reason why the police have been after Spider-Gwen forever. So I don't know what's going to happen once they know her whole story. So in this issue of Spider-Gwen, like I said, there's this big fight between Matt Murdock and the Hand, which begins here. And my favorite part of this is that he gets stabbed here in this first panel that you see in this fight at all. But he just spends the rest of the time with that sword in his stomach. Here's after he's beaten all the ninjas and him and Gwen are talking it out. But then I love how they, she just kind of sneaks in on him here after he's fought all these ninjas. She really has started to learn how to kind of work with the Venom. And then I really like this part where she activates this sound device to mess with Murdock's ears. Also, I'll say that I like how they draw Matt Murdock in this series, because often you get a lot of times where he'll be drawn kind of like this. He's either kind of got his head down sometimes, or the perspective is above him, and he's kind of keeps his head up a lot. He looks a lot more he looks a lot a lot more of a bad guy than the original, the normal Matt Murdock, which, this one is supposed to be a bad guy. So I think they do a really good job drawing him and kind of distinguishing it a little bit. This is Kill or Be Killed number 19. This is the second to last issue of this series, and this one's really exciting. It's got Detective Sharp, who's been investigating the vigilante murders. She shows up finally to talk to Dylan at the mental institution that he's in, and she finally gets him to crack. She brings up the drug dealer, his friend, who got killed during, one time when the Russians came after Dylan. And so finally he's confessing everything to her, but the case has already been closed, so I don't know what really you know, he's in a mental institution. The case is closed already. How much are the cops really gonna, you know, look into it more? But then, as she's interviewing him and he's confessing, the Russians who followed Sharp there, they, you know, break in, possibly turn off the power. The power's been going off either ways. But they pretty much kill everyone looking for Dylan. All the security guards and doctors and stuff, a bunch of them. But then Dylan, you know, kind of gets the upper hand on them. It's pretty awesome to see Dylan go through, even though he is like a crazy dude. He's gotten really good, you know, at killing people and at not getting killed, especially. And so it's really great. Right up to the end where, well, I'm not going to reveal it because it's setting up the next issue, but it is the last issue, and this has not been a very, you know, upbeat, happy story at all. This story of a vigilante. So I'm excited to see the end of this. I know it's going to be really great. I think it's going to be, I don't know, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with it, because I don't think it'll be, I think it'll be a very, I don't know, I can't reveal much. I really can't reveal much about the end, because I don't want to tell you guys what happens at the very end of this issue. But yeah, I'm super excited to see the last issue. This is Vampironica #2. I really like this comic. I like the art of it a lot, and I'm not huge on vampire stuff, but I do love Archie horror stuff, and I think Veronica being a vampire works really great. There's actually even a quote from someone else saying that, you know, Veronica is the perfect, you know, vampire. In this issue, Dilton finds Veronica and figures out that she's a vampire, so they're gonna, you know, he's gonna be helping her out somehow. He's kind of hiding her right now. She also, you know, kind of finds out some weird old vampire lore and finds out that her parents could possibly be alive still out there, you know, having turned into vampires themselves. So she wants to find, you know, the main master vampire to kill him to cure herself. I think this is going to set up like a vampire fighting vampire, like if Veronica became Blade. So I'm really, it's awesome. I like that. This is Barrier #5. This is the final issue of this series, and it was really, really good. I've loved this series the whole time. And in this one, you finally get answers to kind of everything that's been going on. The aliens kind of mind meld with, well, okay, first, in the last issue, I didn't do an episode last week, sorry, but in the last issue of Barrier, it ended with Liddy and Oscar kind of like wrangling a little alien. I mean, it's still twice the size of them, but it's one of the smallest of the aliens. And so they, you know, kind of take it hostage and take it to the bigger aliens to be like, you know, hey, let us go, tell us what's going on. The big aliens kind of like mind meld with Oscar and Liddy. And so they see where on the aliens' home planet, everything just like started to die. And so they've been out trying to find a cure, and they've just been going like across the whole universe, trying to find some way to save their species. You also see about Liddy's husband's suicide. It's revealed that that's how Liddy's husband died. And so, you know, you kind of find out some, you know, where they were having it really bad before he committed suicide, and then the whole kind of like town rallied around her after that, and that's kind of what's kept her on her farm. And then also you see that Oscar left Honduras after his family was killed by the crime lord lady who tried to get him to work for her, and he refused her. They killed him. They killed his family, and then, you know, in anger, he just snaps, kills both of them, and then basically has to flee because the police work for this girl too, so they'll go after him. So then, you know, everyone kind of has this understanding of each other, and, you know, they finally are kind of like at peace with each other, and that's when the aliens put them back on Earth. But, you know, before they can get too excited, it turns out that they've been dropped somewhere in the middle of the Middle East. You know, so they're surrounded by people they don't understand at all. At first I thought it was really weird that it kind of dropped them off in the Middle East, but I think it's just that, like, they already have been through this huge, horrible experience where they learned to overcome, you know, they learned to make peace with people that they couldn't communicate with at all. And I think it's kind of that, like, they could do it anywhere, now, maybe at least have a better chance of doing it. And then I think also it's just that, like, it doesn't matter if it's aliens or if it's, someone in the Middle East that you don't speak their language, or someone, coming into your country and you don't speak their language. Like, you all can sympathize with each other, even though you can't communicate your stories and understand. You just kind of know everyone has their own tragedies that they've come from. And that's, why anyone is wherever they are and doing whatever they are. So I think it was a really great end to the series. It's got some really great artwork in this one. And I don't know, Barrier has been really cool the whole time. It's, came out of this, like, website and this web comic series. And so it'd be kind of cool to see where, this kind of series could lead, and maybe more things like this will kind of happen, and more comics will, I think maybe, more independent comics might start popping up if things like this are doing good. So I had intended to show off each issue of Barrier, but since I didn't do an episode last week, I'll just jump right to number 5 now, which it begins great. Barrier has had such great artwork, and, these great sequence. A whole page is just kind of telling you one thing. This one even, you start with the fly, moves out. I love how it's in the kind of the buzz sound. And then here, you see it meet up with an alien fly. And then the buzzing just gets quieter and cut off completely as it's eaten by this alien fly, which is then just stepped on by Oscar either ways. I love just this whole setup, and then the end with him stepping on it. And then this is kind of how they mind meld with Oscar and Liddy. They just, shoot these tentacle kind of things into them. And out of their, kind of flower head pods. I really like how these are weird flower aliens. But they kind of, combine together so that they can talk and, I don't know, mind meld. I don't know what else to call it. I love this picture, though. It's so crazy and trippy. And I really love how you have here, the alien language. You have Oscar speaking Spanish and Liddy speaking English. But then once they kind of fuse together, you get, they can all understand each other's languages. And I really like how they left the aliens. It's still, the alien story is all told in Spanish. So if you don't go through and look it up or already know Spanish, you once again will still not know really what's going on with these aliens. But they always do such a good job of telling you the story just through the pictures. And I think that the reveal of Liddy's husband's suicide is a really good example of how they can just tell you the story without any words at all, I mean, here you get right in the beginning where, Liddy has kind of, she's living this life out on their farm, but here you've got the eviction notice, so you kind of already get that, things are bad for her and her husband, and then just at the end, after the eviction notice, that's when they hear the gunshot. So I think it does such a good job, telling this story, and it just kind of builds from panel to panel with these pictures. They do a really good job here, too, where you see the aliens, and they're just kind of talking to each other, but you get kind of this feeling of the passage of time as they're kind of going up into their spaceship to go travel out. I almost got the feeling reading this that maybe this could be like multiple different stops, and they're kind of having the same conversation each planet they go to. This is Doomsday Clock number 5. So far, I don't know. Right away this series, I didn't know what to think of it, with them trying to integrate Watchmen characters into the DC universe. I think it's turning out pretty good. The series is using metahumans in the DC universe the same way that Watchmen uses nuclear bombs in the first, in the original Watchmen series, where it's just like this threat that all the countries, are now in this like arms race to make their own metahumans, or at least that's what, that's what's being posited with this like Supermen theory. And I don't know if it's going to be some, I don't know how much this is going to follow Watchmen all the way through. This maybe is setting up that Dr. Manhattan could be working for the government, and maybe he helped create, a bunch of different metahumans, which I think is what a lot of people kind of thought that maybe this could be that, Dr. Manhattan created this whole universe that would be filled with superhumans. And I think that, Adrian Veidt, he kind of was talking about wondering, why Dr. Manhattan chose to come here. Did he come here because it was filled with superheroes and it would be like cool to kind of be in that universe? Or did he come here and, really cause all this stuff to start happening, and he really just wanted to see what would happen with a bunch of superheroes maybe? So I don't know if this is kind of going to turn into like a remake of Watchmen, sort of in the same way that like The Force Awakens is a remake of A New Hope. It's not a total remake, but you have a lot of the same ideas and a lot of the same highlights, just told through a different perspective, I guess, kind of. I think it'll be interesting to see that if it is done, just since it's being done with superheroes and supervillains in general. That's one thing about this, too, is that they're saying that, all superheroes and all supervillains really work for the government, but they just, like, are assigned roles to be heroes or villains, and that's why sometimes, people, like, trade sides and all of a sudden turn evil, or why, someone's best friend can become their arch enemy all of a sudden. It's all just set up, made by the government. I don't know if they're going to somehow reveal that it is, but I don't know. I'm definitely going to stick. I'll read this whole series, even if it probably isn't, unless they really do something that's like, oh, that messes up Watchmen too much, which I don't think they could. I'll keep reading this. And this is Daredevil number 603. This has more of the Hand invading New York. This time we see Elektra. She's going to start joining, she loves fighting the Hand. So she's going to go help Daredevil. He's also going to team up with, what has he got? Hammerhead, the Owl, Black Cat, and Diamondback. He's releasing all of them from jail after catching them, 4 issues ago. He's releasing all of them from jail so that they can go out and fight the Hand, with their gangs. But then at the end of this, the Beast, the leader of the Hand, he releases this big cloud that, I don't know, it's poisoning everyone somehow. But to save the day, Matt Murdock's priest, who I think appeared, he hasn't been in it since the very beginning of, this run of Daredevil. So it's kind of exciting to see him. He pops up at the end with, his own little Iron Man suit ready to help fight the Hand or get rid of this fog stuff. So I don't know what he's involved, how he's involved, but I really want to see that. And also this week, I picked up the new issue of Image Plus. This is number 10. Mostly I pick it up for the Bad Egg, the Witches story, and I'm really enjoying that. It just makes me, more and more excited to see when finally another volume of Witches will come out, which I know that Scott Snyder and Jock are working on, a follow-up to Witches, I guess, kind of, because it's not like, I think it takes place a long time later, I read. Probably in here somewhere. I really do always like Image Plus. And this one's got a really good article where it goes through and kind of tells you how a comic book gets made. And all the different kind of process of, proofing it and picking out the cover layouts, all kinds of stuff. Almost everything involved in it. Doesn't mention much about the writing and drawing, but I mean, obviously, those are happening separately, kind of. So yeah, I would definitely say pick up Image Plus if you are into... They talk a lot about the comic industry, at least for Image. They have a lot of interviews with, not as famous... Actually, they have interviews with, really famous writers sometimes. And then, brand new kind of writers that, they're just now bringing into their company. So yeah, it's always really good. Alright, so that's been the episode. Thanks everyone for watching, and please make sure to go through, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me what comic books you're reading. If you've got a comic you really want me to check out, let me know about it. Let me know what you think about Doomsday Clock. I mean, do you think that they are going to kind of remake Watchmen, only, you know, replace nukes with superheroes, and, you know, that'll just build closer and closer until, you know, it's all about time where everyone's about to kill each other? Maybe, I don't know, Lex Luthor's going to be the Ozymandias? I don't know. Let me know what you think about Doomsday Clock. And make sure to come back next week for a new episode. Thanks. Bye.